This little video, I am going to teach you the trick that I promised I would teach you yesterday. And this trick is to solve for mass or volume when given for mass, density and volume, or for solving for volume given density and mass. So we learned that it was easier to pre-isolate the variable as opposed to isolating the variable when all of the numbers and their units were put into the equation. So I would like everyone to be open up to page 40 in your notes pack. I'll give you a minute to do that. And on page 40, there is a notes and diagrams page, and we're just going to be writing down a couple little things. And the PowerPoint that goes with it is on page 41. So I'm going to switch over to the PowerPoint and teach you the density trick. All right, and get ready because it gets a little scary, okay? So we're solving for density, and density is really important. I know we've been spending a lot of time on it, but to have an understanding of density means that in almost every unit of study that we're going to do this year, there's going to be a density application, so you really need to understand and fundamentally internalize what density is. So how do we do the trick? Well, we're going to make this little triangle and learn how to fill it in. So I'm going to go back to this page. On this notes and diagrams page, I'd like you to draw a triangle that's 4 lines high. It doesn't need to be super huge. You're just going to draw a triangle that is 4 lines high, right? And then we're going to divide the triangle horizontally in the middle here. Draw a line. And then we're going to divide this bottom half vertically. So we're going to draw a line vertically. Okay, now the trick is to fill this triangle in with the letters D, M, and V so that we can use the trick. So to use the trick, we have to construct the triangle first. So how do we remember how to fill this in? Well, there's a mnemonic device that we use, and the mnemonic device is mountains are higher than deserts and valleys. So mountains are higher than deserts and valleys. And that is how we're going to fill this in. So if you just remember that little mnemonic device and you just fill it in, you say mountains are higher than deserts and valleys. Now this is a trick which allows us to pre-isolate the variable. Now we know that in the ESRTs we already have the density equation or formula, okay? D equals M over V. Well, what if we want to solve for mass or volume? Well, there's a way that we use this trick, all right? We're going to cover up the one that we want to solve for. So what do we do when we solve for density? Okay, we cover up the D. So let's have scary hand. Scary hand. Scary hand covers up the D, and you're left with M over V, and that means we divide. So density equals mass divided by volume. You can see that horizontal bar means division. That's the fraction bar. Okay, let's solve for volume. Okay, so we're going to cover up the V. Scary hand, scary hand. Okay, cover up the V. When we cover up the volume, the V, volume equals mass divided by density. So let's go back to our little page here. We're going to cover up the V. So take your finger, cover up the V. So when we want to solve for volume, when we pre-isolate the variable for volume, it's M over D. Volume equals mass divided by density. Okay, well, let's do the same thing for mass. Okay, let's solve for mass. Now, when two variables are next to one another with no operation sign, the default operation is multiplication. So if we have D and V next to one another, we're multiplying. So it's, let's cover up the M. Yeah, scary hand. Let's cover up the M. Okay, so mass is equal to density times volume. So let's go back to our page here. We're going to cover up our M. We're going to cover up our M. Mass is equal to density times volume. So when we're given density and volume, we just cover up the M, and that's the equation. So remember that this is a trick. This is not an equation. This is a trick how we get the equation. When we want to show our work, we need to write the equation that we glean from this trick. So that is the density trick.